Alright, we are live. Oh, good. The coughs seem to be picked up in the preview after all. The latency stuff is weird. Okay. See, Mr. Taylor has embraced the name. Oh, good. Alright. So, not a shredding Bach stream this time, because, as you may have read in the description, I'm going to be addressing something asked by a Patreon supporter. And this is also going to go for anyone who has questions about practicing, who has, maybe not watched my live streams on how I practice guitar and how I advise practicing guitar. So, the main thing I tell everybody, and yes, you start slow and you slowly work it up. Even though some people say, oh, that's a terrible way to get speed, you're never going to get fast that way. Well, it sure worked for me. But the other thing is, you actually have to push yourself when you get to the harder tempos. But the main thing here is you're focusing on your accuracy. You got to focus on the accuracy first if you want it to sound good, especially if you're having a hard time nailing something. So, this is based off of a solo. It's not just about practicing sextuplets. It's also addressing, well, it's mainly covering that, but it stems from a solo, okay? So I'm going to read some of what the email says. I will be showing parts of this solo on the screen as we progress here. Let's see. So basically, what was said is the solo is about 120 beats per minute. Let me see here. Or the song is at 121 beats per minute. How do they know it's one more? I don't know. 121, not 120. 121. So, everyone who ends up watching this, if you cannot reach 120 beats per minute, playing 6 notes per beat in your first practice session, you are not ready to play 6 notes a beat. You're not. You have no business doing it yet. You're not ready for it. Now that's working it up in the first session. I'm not saying you need to be able to play 6 notes a beat at 120 beats per minute straight away. That's doing the whole start at 60 and work it up to 120. If you can't do that in your first day of practicing something, you're not ready for 6 notes a beat, period. You're not. You need to do 8th note triplets instead. In other words, 3 notes a beat. It takes less time to do it this way instead of trying to hammer out 6 notes a beat over and over and over again. Having as many teeny tiny steps as possible to get you where you want to be, that's going to get you there faster. Well, one thing I tell students often, the ones who like to be impatient and try and hurry things, think about it this way. You want to get to the top of a skyscraper, a very tall building, if you didn't know what a skyscraper is. And you have 2 ladders you can use. One ladder has 10 rungs, or 10 steps. The other ladder has 10,000 rungs, or 10,000 steps. Yeah, one ladder has way less steps to take. But good luck going from one step to the next, because those steps are too damn big. Too damn big. Good day, Lauren. Good to see you. Hopefully you've heard some of this stuff up to this point. Anyway, so yeah, if you're going to use the ladder that only has 10 steps to get to the top of that skyscraper, good luck, because going from one step to the next is going to be too damn big. You use the ladder that has 10,000 steps, 10,000 rungs, you're going to get to the top of that thing because those are much more manageable. You need to have those manageable steps. So that's why I'm telling you, I promise you, you're going to have so much more success. Your results will be so much better. Start with the smaller subdivision. Start with the 3 notes a click, not 6. Not 6. I do this stuff for myself all the time. I can play 6 notes a beat in 120 beats per minute and faster. And faster. But if it's a brand new thing, or if it's something that I feel is not up to par, then I'm going to slow it down. And if I'm not hitting whatever the 6 note per beat thing is at 120 in my first practice session, I'm going down to 3 notes a beat. And if that's not working well enough, I will go down to 2 notes a beat. So I will continue to make things easier and easier and easier until good, solid, steady progress is happening. This is crucial to getting the most out of your practice. So, again, for everyone who ends up watching this, stop trying to play too much shit. Stop trying to play faster than you're ready. Knock it off. If you're just having fun, fine. But if you really want to get the most out of your practice, it's not good. You got to take as many small steps as possible. You will make progress way less time doing so. Let's see. Do I want to address any other questions first in this before we look at the tab? Well, let's we'll talk about plateaus in a bit here, but I'll say this: like, as far as like any kind of synchronization stuff, anything is synchronization. Everything is synchronization. Just think about it. Even if you're doing like 4 notes a click, you have to sync the fretting hand and the picking hand to line up at the same time. That's synchronization work right there. If you're doing every 2 pick strokes, it's a little bit more challenging. Just a little bit more challenging. That's still synchronization work. You're changing every single pick stroke. That's even more challenging synchronization. Anything is synchronization work because you have to sync up both hands. Anything is. Seriously, anything is. You just have to give your ear time for that. So for anyone who might be watching the archive stream and they don't have the chat replay up, the question is, how do you properly hear / feel when the beats per minute is at 240 plus, even at 3 notes per string? This just takes time. It takes time. And this is another reason why you want to build this stuff up super slow. Give yourself a chance to actually hear it. It's a learned kind of thing that you just get more comfortable with over time. Going up in the slow beat per minute increments gives your ear a chance to hear stuff. And that's also why I tell people, like, look, if you are not sure, if you are not certain you nailed that take at whatever speed you're doing, do not go on. Know that you played it right. Know you played that fucker right. Mr. Daniel, hello there. I don't know about doing great. I'm doing okay, but thank you. Hope you're doing all right. But yeah, it takes time. Like and this is another thing that, you know, people don't like to hear, but something I do preach a lot now. This is one reason I say there's a genetic component to a lot of this stuff. Some people, their ear can pick up on things a lot more easily than others. Their ear can develop faster than others. But it's really a matter, you just take your time, take your time, take your time. One thing I've done with a student is he had the damnedest time hearing triplets. So what we did is I gave him a wide variety of triplet rhythms, where it's not just straight triplets. You know, we're breaking things up into rhythmic variations, rhythmic patterns, and had him work up all kinds of different things. So this way his ear could get adjusted to hearing those triplets. And now he can hear beyond 240 beats per minute with 3 notes a click. He can hear past it. Like, not even a year ago, he could barely hear past, I think, like 180. Now he can hear past 250. So the slow and steady thing, you want to know how to get your ear to be able to hear this stuff? Work it up slow. Make sure you are damn certain you nailed that motherfucker. Know you did it. Don't guess. Don't just think I may have gotten it. Do it, and do it well. Hell, it's a crutch to get over there. Definitely put in the work for it. Because if you can hear 240, that metronome clicking fast as hell, that's going to be in your benefit. That's going to be in your favor. All the more reason I tell students, just work the fucker up. Work it up. Just do it. You will absolutely benefit from it. Because if you can't hear how the metronome's going at 240 very well, it's like, how can you really expect to be playing stupidly fast stuff? Just because it's not the metronome clicking and it's just your notes being played, to me, it doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of difference. The idea is to hear things accurately at crazy fast tempos. So, again, that's why I say, just do it. Do it. Again. So, yeah, I'm going to let's get this tab up here. Yeah, if you're not able to feel eighth note triplets at 240 accurately, you're not ready for 6 notes a beat. You're not. I will stand by that forever until somebody starts nailing 120 plus beats per minute with 6 notes a beat over and over again without having to do the eighth note work. But I'm still going to say they are the exception to the rule. Absolutely the exception to the rule. All right. How am I going to break this down? Let's see. I need to get this down. Oh. All right. So, Mr. Lauren, you said that bars 116 to 120 is what you're looking at. However, bars number 114 and 115 seem to be the same thing. So is that not something you're interested in right now then? Are you not interested in bars 114 and 115? I mean, I guess the idea would be kind of the same. So there's 114 up on the screen right now. And it seems to be like the same kind of idea. I mean, is this supposed to be like palm muted? Is that why they use nothing but like 16th notes that aren't beamed together? That seems really weird. Why would they do that? So you do want to go over the 114? I just want to clarify that. Yes, on going over 114. All right, cool. So, I mean, that'll kind of simplify things here because it's basically the same deal the whole time. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be able to go through every single thing. What I'm going to do is talk about, what the principle is, what the approach is, what to do to break things down. Learning how to break things down is very helpful with this stuff. Do I recommend slowing down a record solo and playing along with it as practice? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good thing to do. Playing something at a pace that you are comfortable with and ingraining that in your subconscious is a very helpful thing to do. All right. So on the screen, the notation is just freaking silly looking, but it's basically 6 notes a click here, I would imagine. I mean, yeah, it's in 4/4. This should be bracketed better. Kind of like this here, or that. Hang on, where's my mouse? Like that. This thing is bouncing all over the damn place. There. Yeah, that's the way that's notated is just freaking silly. It should just have the little two-plet thing blocking out all 6. Whatever. So anyone looking at this, we're doing 6 notes a click is kind of what we're working towards, but I'm also going to go through it from eighth notes. We're going to see how long does this sort of thing take. So what I'm going to do is basically play all of what's on the screen right now, followed by the first note of the next thing. It's important to break things down into how do I want to say this? Break things down into small enough pieces that you're able to make progress. Even if that means you're just going from one beat to another beat, do that. That's fine. I have done things like that before, and eventually you stick with it long enough, you're going to do what you're trying to do. Okay. So let's see. I'm gonna set a timer. Let's see. Turn off the phone or to put it on airplane mode. I'm gonna get a stopwatch going. So we're also gonna be timing this stuff. So what I'm gonna do now is work this up. Is 3 notes a click, and let's see how long this takes. I think one issue a lot of people have is they assume that doing it this way, oh, it's going to take so long. There's so many things to do. It's really not that bad. It doesn't take too long, and again, your skills are just going to improve. And if you want your skills to improve, fucking do it. All right. We are good on the stopwatch. Metronome up. 60. This is how it's done. Ugh. So you can't hear me changing the metronome, but I am. When you see me like go like this, I'm changing the speed. Notice I'm not fucking around in between. I'm just hitting it. Move it up and go. Move it up and go. Notice I fucked up there. I made a mistake. I did not just try and keep going. I stopped and started over again to do it correctly. That's another big thing. If you make a mistake in the middle of a run, stop immediately and start over again. Do not continue if you make a mistake when doing stuff like this. Stop immediately. Fix that mistake. Focus on perfect practice. It is so important. Perfect practice makes perfect. Not practice makes perfect. It's got to be done right. less than 5 minutes. That took less than 5 minutes. Granted, I really didn't make too many mistakes. That does not mean anybody watching this should ever expect to go from 60 to 240 in less than 5 minutes with everything right away. But you see, I didn't take too long. It didn't take long at all. I'm going to keep going, though. Just because you reach 240, which is, to me, the graduation speed, keep going as far as you can. Milk these triplets for all they are worth. Milk it. Let's continue the stopwatch and see how long it takes me for me to max out this little run doing the triplets. Fucking hand's cold. It's cold out here. See, right there was an example. Didn't feel right. Didn't feel certain with it. It was like close to me, but it wasn't nailed. That last one, I felt I nailed it. So that's why I'm going on now. Definitely reaching that point where it started to take a minute. When you reach a point it takes like 1 or 2 minutes to get another good take, then you're done. But end with a good take. Always end your practice sessions with the correct take, even if that means you need to slow the metronome back down so you end with something that is accurate. Always end with a perfect take. And sometimes take a 30 to 60 seconds break too. Sometimes you just need a little mental rest, or even a physical rest. I think I'm at my limit. Fuck. Come on. Alright, that felt pretty good there. 3:15, that's where I wound up. And how long did that take? Again, it didn't take that long. These things do not take that long. Practice with purpose. Know what you're doing. Know your goal. Get in there and fucking attack it. Attack that shit. That's another thing I think a lot of people, it's a disservice they do to themselves. You fiddle around. So a lot of people fiddle around too much, and they take too much time in between the speeds and whatnot. It's just like, no, just go, 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 go. Beat that motherfucker down. Good question. So again, for those who may be watching the archive stream who do not have the chat replay up, the comment or question is, Let's say you need to slow it down. Will you play it for a minute straight to get over the plateaus? It depends. It depends. How long have you been at that plateau? If you notice that it takes you're stuck at the same speed for 3 days in a row, perhaps on the 4th day, if you notice you still haven't gotten past the same spot, then it's beneficial to do like the whole minute straight thing there, the whole volume training. It does need to be at a speed that you do have control over, but you are almost not in control. So, getting to that point where it's getting very difficult to maintain control. Because you always have to be pushed outside of your comfort zone for growth to occur. Some way or another, you have to be out of your comfort zone, or else you're not going to get anywhere. So, doing the 6 notes a beat, again, this is about practicing sextuplets. I mean, the first step is do the 8th note triplets, do the 3 notes a click. So we'll do the same thing, same notes, but now doing the 6 notes a beat. And I'm going to keep the timer, the stopwatch going where it was. I'm going to have a little bit more caffeine and warm up my hands. And then we'll talk about some plateau breaking stuff. We're going to talk about, how I would advise breaking this solo down, or the different bars that are in question here, okay? Alright, so resuming the timer, going back to the metronome, 60 beats per minute, now doing 6 notes a click. I'm still going up in 5 BPM increments. You can go up slower than that, but I don't advise anyone going over 5 for most circumstances. Anyway. We're already at 120. Well, how long did that take? Like a minute and a half, it looks like. Doing there, it felt like I was having the most trouble I was having was going from the B string back to the G string. So that's why I just tried singling out B to the G. Always focus on your problem spots. Polish up the problem spots first. You know, you got to find those problem spots. And doing this metronome work will absolutely make it easier to find the problem spots. And then you can polish those up. Make them not so problematic anymore. And that's going to make piecing everything together a lot more easily. Another thing you can do, what I like to do, especially since we're doing 6 notes a click, is do a few with only the 3 notes a click again, and then boom, right back into the 6. Alright, I like that one. Doing a little bit slight palm mute on these particular licks where I'm leaving the string after an upstroke. I like to do a little bit of a palm mute, puts my pick in a good position. So there, that's 300 or 160. You can't see that. That's what it was. That's not fucking showing up. Whatever. What we need to see is the timer. There. It took like 12 minutes. 12 minutes of practice for that. So when you get to the stuff like 6 notes a beat, I mean, that's fast. That is fast. So something like that, it is a good idea to not go up in 5 beat per minute increments. Especially depends on, you know, what level you're at in regarding what you're playing, like how well you're able to do and things like that. Going up in 2 beat per minute increments when doing 6 notes a beat, I feel is pretty good. That's a good idea. Again, it gives you more opportunity to hear what you're doing. And remember, all those teeny tiny steps to get from the bottom to the top, very, very helpful. Very helpful. So, I mean, that's the gist of it right there. That's the whole practice thing. That's what I have done for, you know, damn near 2 decades to get fast. And yes, there is the school of thought that instead of trying to work things up slowly with a metronome, just figure out how to move quickly. Well, I did both at the same time. I figured out how to move fast while doing metronome work. I basically did whatever the hell I needed to make my hand or arm move in order to hit the notes I was trying to hit. And then I focused on making it sound good. And that's another thing I tell people. Did it sound good when you played it? If the answer is yes, good. Was it good enough for your album? That's another thing to think about. When you practice something, after every take or attempt that you do, if it was good enough for your album, then it's good enough to move up to the higher speed. If it wasn't good enough for your album, then you're not ready to move it up. Focus on perfect practice. It's so important. I do self-diagnose during the plateaus. It might not necessarily a technique issue. I might be like how I'm positioning the pick a little bit, making sure that I'm clearing a string, you know, when changing strings with the pick, perhaps making sure my fingers are in the right spot. But yes, I mean, again, with metronome work and going up slowly, you can kind of catch a little bit more easily when problems present themselves. And if you're going up slow enough to catch these things, then you're able to start doing your own self-diagnosis. Figure out, like, where is the mistake happening? Where in the run is the mistake happening? And then you focus on that. You focus on where the mistakes continue to happen. So, let's see. I guess we're going to be talking about this. Yeah, I guess you're kind of asking the question now that you did in the email as far as, like, what do I find the cause to be when I hit a speed block? It just depends on what it is. It really depends on what it is I'm playing. It's not going to be just one thing every single time. A lot of times it's just I'm not familiar enough with the pattern. That really comes down to it. It's just something, you know, that simple. I just don't know the pattern well enough. And that's it. So let's see. Let's getting me all tiny. Whoa. And let's move this around a bit. Okay. Alright, so one thing you may want to do in working on something like this, like we have a note over here that is clearly leading into the solo. Good idea, practice with this note eventually. Like you can work up, the 1 bar here thing, but make sure you also practice starting with this. So, can I not highlight things? No, I can't highlight things like in Guitar Pro. Alright, well, we're going to work with what we have here. So hopefully this mouse will be good enough. So yeah, starting with this note, it's important. Practice with that too. So the bars in question, I guess, from 114 to 120 kind of deal. And that looks like a good spot anyway, just kind of up to this bend over here. So breaking things down in like smaller pieces, such as doing the 8th note triplets is good. So let's say, you already have the same thing twice here. So a good thing to do is, start at the, man, I wish that thing wasn't like jumping all over the place. Whatever. So start here to here. That's a good spot. And once you can get that up to speed, then go from here down to here. But you don't even have to do it in those 2 bars right away. You can simplify it more if you need to. If you find that you are just having the damnedest time getting from this highlighted note down to here, even with 3 notes to click instead of 6, then just go from this note to this note. Just do that. And if that is still proving to be too much of a struggle to get up to at least 240, then just go from this note to the next string. Just do that. Or it can go from this string to this string. And then you can go from the B string to the G string. Again, if you need to go beat to beat, go beat to beat. And because we're looking at 6 notes, or 6 note patterns here, you can do 2 notes a beat if you need to. There's nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, it can be very good for a lot of people. What did I say in that Metronome Method ebook I put out? I think it was like 160. Like 160 is the minimum speed you should be getting with 8th note triplets if you're done working with 8th notes, period. It's either 160 or 180. I can't remember. It's in the ebook, though. It doesn't cost anything other than signing up for the Shred Letter or becoming a Patreon supporter. You get it there, too. Anyway, so yeah, break it down beat to beat if necessary. And then that's basically how I've been doing this whole shredding Bach thing. I've been doing like a bar at a time, and then eventually 2 bars at a time. And then most recently, I was doing like 4 bars at a time. And now that I got all 4 bars down at a time, I started working on piecing the whole thing together, really. So anyway, that's how you're going to break it down. Beat to beat if need be, and just slowly add a little bit as you go. Look here, you got the same group of notes just done over and over and over and over and over again. So like a good goal, I feel, a good goal to set is getting from this note here down to this last note. Or even just to this one right here. I would shoot for this note first. Get to this last 10 on the B string, A note, because this is ending on a, well, if you're doing 3 notes a click, it ends on a downbeat. So that could be a good place to stop. But eventually, getting to this 10 here is going to be important because you want to hit that bend. And also practicing up to the point of getting to that bend would be good. So even like, instead of always starting at the beginning here, if you want to work on just nailing that bend, start here. Start on this A note here that I'm pointing at, and then work on just up to that bend. Just work on that little phrase by itself if you're having trouble with it. And then add a little bit further back. Maybe start here and then get that phrase. And then eventually, you can do this whole line. And, just piece it together. Tiny little pieces like that. Tiny little chunks. If you really, okay, so again, the comment made is like the sold my soul solo, the first note of each 4-note per string grouping had an accent. Wait, I missed the question. How do you work out the accented notes? Meaning this lick sounds pretty evenly picked, but some other licks don't. I think it's overkill. I don't try and work out accented notes. What I try and do is just make sure everything sounds good. Sometimes people try and accent stuff, and I've noticed this with students. They try and accent stuff, and then they lose rhythmic control. I know that accenting stuff is one way people can improve the rhythmic value of something, or rhythmic integrity of something. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes it will absolutely screw people up. Like a common thing I hear with some students who are just starting out learning how to strum 16th notes, they hit the down strums too hard, and then it turns it into a swing feel. So instead of having just a nice even, let's see, I'm trying to recall exactly how someone might do it. They kind of turn it into this. That's not evenly spaced. And it's because they're hitting the downstrokes a little bit too hard usually. So I tell people, try and make everything as even as you can. Very smooth with it. Don't hit anything harder than another. Try making everything exactly the same. So I don't try and work out accent notes. That could be looked at. I look at it as a guitar player's personal style of playing. Sometimes they'll accent something. I doubt they're really thinking about it. I highly doubt, like during solos like this, they're truly thinking about, I need to accent this or accent that. And the fact that something can be, look like this on screen, and sometimes you hear accented notes and sometimes you don't, to me, anecdotally shows that they are not thinking in terms of that. They're just playing it. And I would imagine that, the smoother you get with something, perhaps the less chance of accenting notes would happen, because you're not even thinking about it. You're just being so effortless with it. I might accent something because that's just me getting into the riff. I'm just feeling it, kind of thing. So, I don't think accenting notes is necessary all the time. It could be a person-to-person kind of thing. It might help one person. It might mess another person up. So if you find that putting in an accent note just helps you play something better, do it. If you find that trying to hit a note with a heavier hand than other notes is actually making it worse, then quit it. Just don't even do it. So hopefully that makes sense as far as like my recommendation on breaking things down. Just like you can work it on like beat to beat, bar to bar, and you don't always have to start from the beginning and then keep adding. You can get to a point like over here where this bend lick is, and then just kind of go add backwards. So maybe go from this note up to here, and then work it back. Go from this note to here, and then go from this note to here, and then finally this entire line. And then, that's really it. Just like super, super simple stuff. I need to end this stream in like 5 minutes, because I got to get ready for my last student. That being said, I'm going to show one more thing for an example. Good. Glad it made sense. So, for those of you who haven't been seeing the Shredenbach thing, here is the music. This is what I've been working on, the latest piece anyway. Seeing what the notes are isn't that important right now. It's just seeing the fact that there are a bunch of notes. So, like, what I ended up doing was, like, working, like, from this to this. I started with this note because it's the beginning of the whole phrase. But, you know, these are 16th notes, which means you're playing 4 notes per click. The tempo of the song is only 80. I am not going to try and start at 60 and work up to 80. To hell with that. I have been doing 8th notes for this whole thing, because that sets me up for success a hell of a lot better than trying to do 4 notes a click. This piece of music is so stupidly fucking hard. I am not trying to make this any harder than it needs to be. So, I don't know where a particular diminished lick was that I did years ago. But just for example, this one tapping section was so goddamn hard, even though it was 16s. What I ended up doing, and this isn't this, but I'll just say for example, what I did was something like here to here. Again, beat to beat. And even 8th notes, because of how redonkulous this pattern was that I put together, I was having such a hard time wrapping my brain around it. I did quarter notes first. 1 note per click. I ain't bullshitting when I say simplify it as much as you need to until progress happens. That is a big thing to take away from this live stream. Simplify things as much as you need to until you start seeing progress happen. You can always make things more difficult, but it's not going to do any good. Yes, you need to be outside of your comfort zone, because growth doesn't happen when you're comfortable. But it can't be so frickin' hard that you don't have any growth at all. Good old weight training analogy. Like, if you want to deadlift 500 pounds, you can't just keep going after the 500 pounds in the hopes that one day you'll be able to do it. You have to start off with a lot lower weight and slowly build up to that 500. It's going to take a lot of time. Same thing with being able to play fast, complex stuff smoothly and make it sound good. It's going to take time. It's going to take time. Some people will be able to do it in less time than others. That's just the way this shit goes. Much as it sucks for some, I understand. None of us get as fast as we want to in the time we'd like. I don't. I'd be done with this Shredenbach thing by now, if that was the case. So, I'm not learning this as fast as I want to. We all deal with it. Are you asking what a gallop rhythm is? If that's the case, it's usually a mix of 1 8th note and 2 16ths. And the count would be 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a such as 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a I do need to end the stream now. I got to get to my my next student here. It starts in about 10 minutes. So hopefully that gives some decent insight into practicing things. And that's these live streams that I do. One reason I started to do them is to show people this is what it takes to get good. I want everyone to see that it's not all, you know, that you're, I don't want to word this. You know, when people look at their guitar heroes and they talk about how good they are and like, oh, every time they play it's so perfect, whatnot. It's like, you didn't see all the work that went into it. You didn't see the thousands and thousands and thousands of mistakes that they made to get where they're at. And then when you see them play stuff and you see clips and you hear the recordings and whatnot, I mean, that's like, they're picking the very, very best out of a ton of different takes. So that's why I want to do these. That's why I like doing these live streams, to show it ain't all just playing things perfectly all the time. I struggle a lot with this shit. There is struggle. There always struggle when you're learning new things. This is just part of the process. So you can't just expect yourself to play shit all quick right away. It doesn't work that way. It can't work that way. Just not possible. Happy New Year, Mr. Lauren. Glad you were able to be a part of the stream there. And let's see. I'm looking for right hand technique to gallop like John Schaefer from Iced Earth. Yeah, his gallop is stupidly tight and fast. But hey, this whole live stream was talking just about that sort of thing. Doing endurance work with that stuff would be good too. Like metronome it up, get it as fast as you can. It's got to be accurate though. And then do, play a gallop at a speed that's maybe 20 beats per minute under your max. See how long you can do that. See if you can gallop close to your max speed for a minute. See if you can gallop close to your max speed for 2 minutes. Push that endurance. And that can help there. So, all right. I got to go. Thank you to everyone who came in on the stream, who watches the archive stream. And I'm not sure what day I'll stream again, because I got that concert coming up in 2 days. So I got to be ready for that. But at the very least, I will absolutely stream again, same time next week.